Section 3 has two parts. Section 3 has three parts. Section 3A starts with
Slide 44.
Section 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Slide 44. Yes, slide 44. Start section 3. Now, it's all section 3, but I would call 3A all the way through to right before the consistency slide. It's essentially the social media part. Okay? All the way to the end of the Facebook comments. Right before the consistency. That is slide 73. Thank you. No. Yeah, page 73, slide number
44.
44.
Starts at what?
Starts at 44.
That's a good tip if I may interject. I'm watching
Slide
Donna.
50.
I'm sorry. That's okay. I'm sorry. I'm watching Donna, and she's putting little tabs on her book to divide all the sections out.
Donna, we're gonna need to see that book.
That might be a good little tip. We got little sticky notes there.
Yeah. Slide 52. 44 to 52. 44 to 52. Slide-wise, not page-wise, but slide-wise.
Is that section
3A. That's the social media section. Now, why do we have that in there? And why would we put it right after the health section?
Because it's a problem.
It is a problem. That's right. Yes, Sabrina. What's your opinion?
Because of social media, I am always on stage.
That's right.
Always.
And do you remember the template has own the moment? Now, we've just been through the moment. That's the great part, right? I don't mean great like as in it's great, it's wonderful, it's good. I mean great, G-R-E-A-T part, okay? The great framework, that's the moment. And we've just talked about it's your moment. It's not Tom Horton's moment. It's not Tom Delvalier's moment. It's your moment with the customer. You have to own it. Now all of a sudden we're talking about social media. It's because if you think you can get away with not owning it and nobody will notice, think again, because guess what? You're on stage. And you're not just on stage in front of the people in your lobby, you're on stage in front of the world. Whether you think it's right or wrong, whether you think smartphones should be banned or not, they're not. They're present, they're allowed, and people are doing it. So there are going to be comments about you. It's up to you whether those comments are going to be good or bad. Now, will some people lie about you? Sure. But will everyone lie about you? No. And do you want to make it not a lie? No. Granted, will people write negative comments more easily than they will positive comments? Yeah. In fact, we heard somebody talking about the stat that a good experience, people tell 1 or 2 people. A bad experience, people tell 10, or whatever that stat was, I don't know. Or everybody they know. Same thing with social media. I don't always take the time to write something great that happened. But how many of you in this room have a Facebook? How many of you have a Twitter account? Okay, I have both. How many of you with a Facebook or a Twitter account have ever shared a bad experience that you have had? I have. How many of you on Facebook have said, I will never go back to such and such place again? I have about restaurants. Yeah, I have. It's just a fact of life. We do it. And it might even be okay to say, do some of you as consumers do it? I bet you do. And even if you don't do it on the social media stage, you do it in the verbal media way with some of your friends, I'm guessing. Have you ever complained about a place with somebody? Yeah, guess what? Our customers do too. They know what good customer is according to them, and they know what bad customer is according to them, and they're going to talk about it. So the point of this section, 3A, and why it's placed exactly where it is because it gives you the opportunity to link back to where you just were in a different way. Okay? You've just talked about the moment and the framework that we want everybody to be doing, that it's theirs and they own it. And if you think that it doesn't matter whether you do it or not, think again. United Breaks Guitars. You think those baggage service people own that moment? They owned it, but they did something different with it than we would have wanted them to. They just owned it in a really bad way. Right? So It gives you the opportunity to reinforce the importance of what you just said. It's not a standalone section. One of the problems at Flagship University right now that we're working to address, and we're starting to pick it off a department at a time, and it's going to take us a long time to do it, is that we have a very event-based approach to learning. Okay? You come, now, agents, we do have core, which goes to ticketing, which goes to gates. There is a path there, but aside from that, most of what we do here, you come for that class. It doesn't connect necessarily to anything you've learned before. It doesn't necessarily point you to what you're learning next. It's event-based approach. Not nearly as effective as if all of the learning that we did was part of a developmental path with a specific goal in mind, right? Don't take an event-based approach to this curriculum. Okay, you did the great thing, you got that. Okay, now let's talk about social media. Not nearly as effective as if you tie that social media to that break and why that's important, and use the opportunity here to reinforce what you just talked about here. Okay, yes.
And I think, I don't know if I'm getting it right, but it creates the awareness for the people who have been in the company for a long time, that they said, I can misbehave, and maybe the customer will write a letter, which is what they used to do in the past, maybe not. And the new people who have the Facebook but don't make that connection between what they're doing and how they're behaving to our customers and how immediate the feedback can be. So
Absolutely.
in both of those groups, it brings it home that it has immediate consequences on
Right.
them and on the company.
Absolutely.
Like
That's a
when-
great point.
When my parents write something bad about American in Facebook, I call them and threaten them. I tell them to remove the
Yeah,
the
exactly.
message.
And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, personalize your approach. Because he has some personal experiences, right? He has some personal experiences that he can draw on. Each of you has those personal experiences that go with each of these sections, right? So is it okay that each of you deliver it a little bit differently? Absolutely. But is it important that everybody hit the key messages so that at the end we accomplish what it is that we're trying to accomplish? Yes, and that's all I'm trying to say here. That's why sometimes I would hop up and rework a section or clarify a section, not because I want everybody to do it exactly like me, but because I know what the key messages are and I want to make sure you hear them. Okay? So bring yourself to it, but just make sure you hit these key things. Make sense? Okay. I know I'm talking a really long time, and I'm hoping this is going to speed things up a little bit.
Tracy, can I interject something?
Absolutely.
I know that, we have a lot of agents at DFW that when they're being filmed, will call DPS, they will call the police and say, they're filming me without my permission. And everybody needs to understand it is a public place and they can be filmed. That is not a violation of their rights.
Right. It's not like they're a doctor delivering a baby and there are certain, whatever issues, right? It's a public place. You're absolutely right.
There's no expectation of privacy, and anybody can film.
That's absolutely correct. If they're a media person and they identify themselves as a media person, I actually.
We have procedures for
Yeah,
that.
we call CCRO and they'll get, corporate communications on the phone right away if they're a media person, if they identify themselves. There's a different policy procedure, but if it's just somebody that doesn't like how you're, handling the situation and they're videotaping you and said, they can do it.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for just a second. Let's sidestep and talk about that. I'm glad that you brought that up. So let's just use that as an example. There are some of you who don't like people, who may think that the best way to handle if somebody's filming a situation that's gone bad is to call the DPS and have them come deal with that person. What, if that's where your brain is focused, what might be a better place for you to focus your brain? If it's a bad situation that they're feeling the need to film, turn it into a good situation. Problem solved. Problem solved. And you may not have all the tools to do exactly what that customer wants, granted, and you may not be able to turn a horrible situation into a great situation, but can you neutralize it? Maybe. What are some ways based on what we just learned, guys? We're talking social media now and the problems, but based on what we just learned, what are some things that maybe you could do to try to neutralize that situation so they won't be as motivated to film it and blast it out there for the world? And maybe if we spend as much time focusing on that as we did going, well, it's not they're not allowed filming,